It's 10 o'clock and it's time for the council to be in session. Ms. Mistakowski is here. We have 2 members present. We need 8 more for a quorum. It's 20 minutes after 10 and the New Year's resolution hasn't come through yet, I guess. We do have some of them here. We have Mr. Burnson, Mrs. Chick, Mr. Fuhr, Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Misakowski. We have 6 members present. We need 4 more for a quorum. Ms. Galanter, Ms. Goldberg, Mrs. Walters. Mr. Holden, would you please come to the council chamber? Mrs. Walters, Mr. Holden, would you please come to the council chamber? Mr. Alatorre. We have 9 members present. We need 1 for a quorum.
Chick, Fuhr, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Ridley Thomas, Zavornich, Wax, Walters, and Ferraro. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Yeah, the council will come to order. This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 6th day of January 1999. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35. We're also to be monitored by council phone. First order of business.
Approval of minutes.
All right, Ms. Sikowski moves, Mr. Wax second. There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Commendatory resolutions and for approval.
There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
We have a couple items on the regular agenda, Mr. President, which are asked to be continued.
Yes.
Item number 7 is requested to be continued by the Building and Safety Department until February 19th, 1999.
Is there, Mrs. Chick moves, are there any objections to that? Seeing none, that'll be the order.
Item number 18 and 22 are requested by the Housing Department to be continued until February 5th, 1999.
All right, Mr. Hernandez moves, there's no objections, those would be the order. Next item.
Confirmation of city official, item number 27.
Who is that?
Sessinghouse.
Rick Sessinghouse. This is a extension of his interim appointment. Is there any discussion on this?
If I could, Mr. Sessinghouse, I know also has a Rec and Park Commission meeting at the same time, and I would urge that his contract be extended.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved forthwith on that. Next item.
Items number 1 and 4 are requested to be received and filed by the Department of Building and Safety. Assessments have been paid as recommended by the department.
Okay, Mrs. Galanter moves that be received and filed. There's no objection. That will be the order. Next item.
Items number 2 and 3, public hearing.
Is there anybody in the audience who wants to be heard on item 2 or 3? Seeing none, the public hearing will be continued until January 13th. If there's no objection, that will be the order. Next item.
Item number 5, a request by Council Member Goldberg to continue till February 5th, 1999.
What about 4? We got to receive and file that?
Yes, we did.
Item number 4, apparently the assessment has been paid.
We received and filed 1 and 4.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Chick moves. There's no objection. That will be the order. Number 5.
Request to be continued by Councilmember Goldberg to February 5th, 1999.
There's somebody who wants to be heard. You want to be heard today? This matter is going to be continued. Okay, the matter will be continued until when?
February 5th.
Okay, there's no objection. That will be the order. Next item.
Item number 6, public hearing, appeals, objections to building and safety report and confirmation of assessment to cover costs of fencing a lot at 4021 Southwestern Avenue in CD8.
Is there anybody in the audience who wants to be heard on item number 6? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any discussion on this? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Item number 8, a hearing, appeals, and objections to building and safety report and confirmation of assessment to cover cost of barricading and exterior painting and graffiti abatement of building at 17515 West Cabello Street in CD3.
Is there anybody in the audience who wants to be heard on item number 8? Would you take the other side? You didn't fill out a card. What is your name?
I'm sorry. It's Cheryl Grossi.
Speak into the microphone. Pull it up a little bit.
Sorry. It's Cheryl Grossi.
Yes. And you want to speak on 8?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have a fill out a card after. Would you go ahead and say what you want to say?
I'm under advisement of an attorney that we are petitioning for sale of the property. It's an inheritance issue, and due to the fact that I cannot reach my brother, who is the other party that has been asked to appear and hasn't, that we would like to be able to petition for the sale of the property.
Well, I don't think you can petition us.
No, I understand. My attorney, unfortunately, is across the way in a criminal proceeding, but he is going to be filing
Do you
documentation
want
for that.
to, you want to continue this?
Could I?
Miss,
I'm not sure how long it's going to take.
Mrs. Chick, this is your
Yeah,
district.
it is. I certainly would be willing to wait till the end of the meeting to see if this woman's attorney can be here.
I can call him. Unfortunately, his cell phone isn't working next door, so I can't reach him.
Right, well, you might have the time to actually go over there and...
I can try
see-
to find
yeah.
him.
And if that doesn't work, then I would be open to delaying it until Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll leave the item number 8 on the desk. Next item.
Item number 9 is continued consideration of hearing and protest ordinance first reading regarding improvements and maintenance of Virgil Village Lighting District in CD 13. Motion required, finding that the majority protest received and adopt the abandoning ordinance.
Okay, Mrs. Chick moves. Is there any discussion on number 9? Seeing none, prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That is approved. The ordinance is approved. Next item.
Item number 10 is the acceptance of bids. The bids were opened this morning in the city clerk's office at 9 a.m., and the CAO has prepared a resolution for council to adopt the awarding the bid to Nations Bank Montgomery Securities for an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $25 million, with a true interest cost of 4.0265%.
What is it, interest again? 4 point,
4.0265%.
okay, is there any discussion on that? Talk, what do you want? It's a bid. We have to take an action today or throw it?
Well, does anybody want to talk about why
Yeah,
why it's not negotiated and it's competitive? I just want to hear from that. Why it's working better with this way. It's important. I just want to ask the question, Mr. President.
Mr. Comrie? 4.2, did you say 4.205?
4.0265.
Wow, what an interest rate.
I understand. and
Let's hold
that's-
it on
that's-
the desk, we'll get it at a higher rate, Nate.
No, it's important to know this is a key point because Keith has been, sometimes he talks about negotiated, sometimes he talks about competitive. And I want to know why with this is uniquely different and do we got such a good rate with a competitive?
Because
That's really something.
Because of the strong leadership on the city council, that's why we got a good rate, Nate.
Yeah, that's debatable, but I don't want to get into that, Mr. President. Except for you, you're strong.
Mr. President, members of council, this is a competitive bid. Our charter requires, unless there's some special exception, we do competitive bid, and that's why we get these low rates, and this is, as they indicated, a 4% rate. We've been very successful over the years in receiving very low interest rates as a result of it.
There have been time to time that we've done a negotiated bid, notwithstanding what the charter says.
Very rare.
When did you change the charter to say that you could not do negotiated bids, if at all?
That charter provision's been in since 1925, I believe.
1925, and I got elected in 1987. And there's sometimes, I don't know whether it's you or somebody's been supporting negotiated bids,
We have not.
okay?
We-
But there have
we-
been negotiated bids. Why were there negotiated bids then in this competitive bid now?
When there are very unusual issuances, for example, in the convention center's case, it was so large, they didn't think a competitive bid would be possible, so the consultants initially recommended we do a negotiated. They eventually changed the recommendation, but it was a very large issuance of $500 million at one time. And other than that, I can't remember offhand when
I
we've
thought
done
there were some other
negotiated.
When Zev was here, there was negotiated bids, because, you know, some of those things he wanted.
I don't believe so.
And the reason why I raised the point, Mr. President...
Because you want to be on television, that's
No,
why.
no, Mr. President, because I want you to talk to me. But anyway...
Yeah, if you come on time, I'll talk to you, Nate.
Okay, with my time. But I still want to say that I think it was done primarily at one point to guarantee that all businesses, small, minority, and others would have a chance to participate in the process and would not be subjected to exclusionary principle. And if you got such a situation here, I'd like to know what that is, and that's why I'm raising the question. Because once
No.
you're out, you're out.
On the MBE, WBE, though, we do require the bidding syndicates to include the small companies And in this case, I've got a list here. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 small companies included for 11% of the total issuance.
Well, I don't have a copy of that report. And
Okay, your time is up, Mr. Holden.
I understand, Mr. President.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
President, I just like to have a copy of the report.
Well, he can give you, you go ask him
All right,
before.
don't.
Mr. Ridley
don't
Thomas,
get
you have the
rude,
floor.
I mean, now, if I could
Come
have-
on, Mr. Holden, you're out of, your time is up. Mr. Ridley Thomas, you have the floor.
You have not even changed. I mean, you let people talk over last night. I saw it.
Mr. Ridley Thomas moves the previous question. Any objection to the previous question? All right, prepare the roll on the item before us. The bid forthwith. Prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Item number 8, Councilmember Chick has requested that be continued till February 5th, 1999.
Item number 11. Oh, to continue until when?
February 5th.
Okay, there's no objection. Item number 8 will be until February 5th. Next item.
Items number 11 through 17, items for which public hearings have been held.
Are there any specials by council members?
Yeah, 14, 15, 16.
See, members, if we had gotten here on time, we would have had these all over with before for 14, 15, and 16. He's punishing us now. But Mr. Ridley Thomas, you press your button first when we do those. Okay, we have what is it? 11 through 17, with the exception of 14, 15, and 16. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Items number 19 through 27, items for which public hearings have not been held, except items 18 and 22.
We don't have any cards. Anybody want to be heard on any of those items? Anybody want to be heard on those items? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any specials? Mr. Hernandez?
On item 24, I just wanted to continue it for 1 week if I could.
Item 24, Mr. Hernandez moves to continue 1 week. There's no objection. That will be the order. Next item.
Item 26, special.
Item 26, called special. Item 25, we have report and they concur, so. All right, any others? If not, prepare the roll on 19, 20, 21, 23, 25, and 27. Prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item.
On the continuation agenda, item number 29.
29 special? Okay, the next item.
The continuation agenda, item number 30.
Special also.
30 is called special. Next,
Item number 28, closed session.
and we'll hold that on the desk. Next item.
Item number 14, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Ridley Thomas?
14, I call it special.
Oh, did you?
Maybe your memories.
Yeah, I'm getting old, Nate. So are you.
Yeah, well, some get older.
At least I
quicker.
get up in time and come here. Next item.
Hey, look, I'm not your son, John. Stop trying to chastise me today. We don't even look alike.
Yeah, well, punish us, Nate. Talk. Your
all
time
right.
is running.
Well, I want to know why we're spending this $74,000 for this Waste Management Environmental Research Team to give us something that we probably already know.
Is there anybody here that can answer item 14? Miss Sakowski?
Report comes from Environmental Quality and Waste Management, and it's a request for a grant application to deal with the off-gas aeration to process that at our waste treatment plants. We have a high cost for electricity, and this is a method to try to explore in research for a grant. other methods of dealing with this in a more economic and efficient way and saving money on our energy costs.
Go ahead, sit down.
Good morning, Jim Langley, Bureau of Sanitation. This is an application for grant funding from the Water Environment Research Foundation, which is a subsidiary of the Water Environment Federation. We are already involved in this type of work
Okay, now that I
presently.
have a minute and 31 seconds left, I just want to say that what you're asking for is a grant to have someone provide you a literature search that will give you some kind of new technology in order to study the problem and perhaps even improve it. These are off-the-shelf items, I believe, was what they're going to come up with.
Well, what we will be involved with in this grant request is we will be providing research at one of our facilities to determine how we can best reduce the energy cost in treating wastewater.
But they're going to recommend some kind of equipment for you.
They're not going to be recommending. We're going to be recommending.
You'll be recommending the equipment.
We'll be recommending not only the equipment but the processes. This information will then be available for the entire wastewater
Now,
industry.
let me ask you, if these are the equipment, is it off the shelf? You got to go out and do research and design and develop.
We already have the equipment.
That's right, you have the equipment.
We have the
That's what I
equipment.
figured. That's why I raised
Yeah.
the question. You have the equipment.
We built
and
the
what does
equipment.
somebody need to teach you to know what you already know? And that's why I raised the question, whether Mr. Ferrara
Well-
liked it or not.
Okay.
Anyone else want to be heard? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Item number 15, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. President, I just want to know about the loan program.
You want to know what?
The loan program.
Jerry Penny, General Manager of the Housing Department. This is a
Talk into the microphone and don't look at...
This is a project that was selected under the NOFA, approved by the council and the mayor.
Pardon?
It was a project that was selected on a competitive basis under the NOFA, Notice of Funding Availability.
And you are increasing that?
Yes, there were some problems with the project. The lead agency on this is the California Housing Finance Agency. It is a historic preservation. We're increasing our loan amount by approximately $350,000. The California Housing Finance Agency would increase theirs by approximately $500,000. It would be our increase would be subject to their increase. A number of other agencies have also increased their
These
amount.
are loans.
These are loans.
What's the
that's correct.
likelihood of recovery? And what's the time period?
40-year loan.
40-year
It's a
loan?
residual receipt 4-year loan, yes.
So this is a 4-year?
40.
40-year loan.
That's required for tax credit purposes in order to bring in tax credit equity into the project.
Okay. Why was it necessary to increase the loan? With the initial financial agreement was insufficient in order to complete the project?
They ran into a number of problems. It was a historic preservation. I want to emphasize that. Once they started the construction, they identified a number of things. The California Housing Finance Agency had 2 assessments done of the project that indicated additional work was required.
So it's, you all concur in that?
Yes, we do. And again, our money is subject to California Housing Finance Agency providing an additional $500,000.
All right.
Anyone else want to be heard on item 15? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Next item is number 16, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Holden?
Yeah, Mr. President, this is on the Angel Flight operation, and I think CRA can tell us about this.
It's the open space next to Angel's Flight. We're going to do some improvements in there to make it into a park and have it open to the public as for use as open space.
So why you give this contract, why you award this contract to this Thompson Landscape?
It was competitively bid.
It was competitively bid?
Yeah.
And why did you, and so on what basis, what was the criteria?
We scoped the project, bid it out, and this was the low bidder.
They're the low bidder?
That's correct. Yeah.
Why would you give it to the next guy?
Under the rules, on a competitive bid, the lowest responsive bid is supposed to receive the contract, and this is the lowest responsive bid.
Was that the policy of the city?
This is the state law.
Oh, it's state law? Oh, okay. I just wanted to raise that because I would hope that we would tend to be somewhat consistent in that regard, and that's one of the main reasons why I call this special. This is the lowest responsive bidder. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we want to thank you for pointing that out to us, Nate.
Yeah, but sometimes
It says
majority
right on
find
there-
accept.
It says right on there it's the lowest bid.
That's right.
But we
That's
want
not
to
the
thank
fir-
you because you really brought it to our attention.
That's not the first time you've
Okay.
seen the
Your
lowest
ti- your
responsive
time is
bidder,
up,
and you
Mr.
voted the wrong way.
Prepare the roll on item number 16. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Item number 26, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Oh. Was this the lowest responsive bid?
Mr. Deaton, go ahead. You can talk to us
Is this the lowest
about the fiber optics.
Mr. Holden, members of the City Council, what you have before you is an agreement between City of Los Angeles and the Pacific Pipeline Corporation. It has to do with, it's in accord with the settlement agreement that was approved by this council relative to the pipeline. It provides for fiber from the west end of the valley all the way to the harbor, and then on an eastbound out towards the airport. It is relative to the city's fiber optic backbone, an essential part of it. We have, I think, negotiated over a long period of time in an operating agreement that would be satisfactory to both the city and to the pipeline, and that we've recommended that we have a good price on adding a few more fiber as it comes down through the on the basic pipeline and again across over to the airport that would I think serve us in the future very well. Accordingly, we recommend the approval of this agreement.
Right, this fiber optics agreement with the pipeline was something that Mr. Hernandez was spearheading to have some assurance or guarantees that the city would be adequately compensated for what we were giving up in terms of the franchise. Now, my question to you is, does this in any way modify the contract or the agreement by adding these new lines, fiber optics lines?
No,
and so, how and what way will the city benefit?
Well, the city benefits by having essentially
monetarily.
Monetarily? The installation of about 100 fiber from the West Valley down through the conduit to the Harbor Department, and the at less than cost installation of fiber between that line and the airport, and an additional 50 fiber in that conduit for use in the future.
It's my understanding we're supposed to share in the profit. Are we in fact doing that?
No.
We're not.
Settlement agreement. I think to put it in perspective, the situation, and the city attorney could add to this, but essentially the ability to have a franchise, there was an eminent domain proceeding, and we lost.
I understand, but
and I think that
so you lost that, but you're not obligated. Here's a time when you can go back into negotiation. You're not obligated to give them what they're asking for at this point in time. This is not,
we worked out
mandated in the settlement, which therefore means that as we give out franchise like cable or whatever the case may be, we do benefit. And again,
Your time is up, Mr. Holden. Mr. Hernandez.
Says you're waiting to speak. That's what it says.
Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, you know, I was fighting the Pacific Pipeline because of its route and the impact that oil would have traveling through what I called low-income communities, as well as communities of color, and to me it was clearly an environmental justice issue. Now, let's assume that the oil wasn't going to be flowing through those communities, and what we were talking about would be a fiber optic network that would be going through those same communities. What you need to know is I'd be supporting that. And it's because being able to have that fiber optic in those communities is hooking up those communities through, basically through the internet, and allowing those communities to basically have an asset that a lot of communities are fighting to have. When we talk about economic development, having that fiber optic go through those communities, I think is going to improve the opportunities for job creation and the kind of jobs that will be coming because of its proximity to that network. What the city has done here is basically negotiated more options in terms of access to that network and more access to that information network that will be used by the city and hopefully allowed to be used by communities. And so I just wanted to kind of clarify what's going on here, because we're talking about the fiber optic network. We're talking about us being able to have more access to it and purchase part of that right at a rate that is basically discounted because of the battle that we were having with Pacific Pipeline. And that's the perspective. It doesn't mean that we still support the reality, or I support the reality, that oil is flowing through that pipeline and those communities were used for that purpose. But if it was not because of the pipeline, this fiber optic network wouldn't be going through those communities, and it would be taking a lot longer to hook up those communities to this opportunity.
Mr. President, I think it should be noted that there has been a lot of work done in this area for a long period of time, and members of the council, it would be useful if you were to pay attention to the various aspects of assembling an effective infrastructure here in the city of Los Angeles. That's essentially what we are doing. You may recall before our recess, we sent forth a rather substantial RFP to deal with the 4 civic centers project that is really going to be, for all intents and purposes, the hub of the fiber optics launching pad, if you will. This item is complementary in the sense that we are effectively putting together what will be the most effective infrastructure that we can cause to happen, which will result in us seizing the competitive advantage that many of us have discussed. That's what's before us, and so I would, as chair of the Information Technology Committee, simply suggest that we move forward. It is appropriate, and we will benefit in the ways that we expect. I would so move, Mr. President.
Mr. Burnson. Mr. Burnson moves the previous question. Prepare the roll on the previous question. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Okay, we have item number 26 before us. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Item number 29, called special by Councilmember Fuhr.
Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, item 29 relates to a couple different issues which are tied to each other. One is a lawsuit that was filed against the city alleging first that the city was unfairly treating girls with respect to sports field availability in the West San Fernando Valley. And then they broadened that lawsuit to discuss issues in other parts of the city. And secondly, this matter relates to a motion which I introduced following up on that lawsuit to find out precisely what the status was of girls' sports activities, particularly in the city, and all youth sports generally. And what's before us is the product of several meetings in the Arts, Health, and Humanities Committee. And it sets forth in the report about 10 different items that are already in motion, but I thought it was important that the council both have its attention drawn to the issue, and secondly, that we give our authority to moving these items forward. Let me describe what they are. First, and we should separate those. Some of these pertain to the lawsuit and some more broadly to my motion. The department has since created a program, the final draft of which we presented to the committee on the 27th, called Raise the Bar, which is a program designed to dramatically increase the number of girls participating in sports throughout the city. One of those elements, for example, would be specific targets of a 10% increase in girls involved in sports in the first year and a 25% increase in the second year, in recognition of the fact we can be doing much better in this issue. Next, the creation of a new citywide sports supervisor, a sports czar, if you will, to oversee the implementation of these recommendations and other aspects of our sports programming for kids in the city. That position would be the accountable position within Rec and Parks to assure these items move forward. The creation of what are called recreation marketing districts. In the research we did in the committee, we found, vis-a-vis girls, for example, that there were some Rec and Park centers where there were a lot of girls involved because the director of the park did a good job. Some parks where kids in general were much more actively involved than other parks. And that bar needs to be raised citywide. The department then has created these marketing districts that team up Rec and Park centers around the city in clusters to learn from each other and not default to the least common denominator, but rather raise the level of expectation and standards citywide. The creation of a youth sports task force comprised of experts on kids' sports, girls, and more broadly. We heard in my committee from Anita DeFrance, from Allison Feaster, who's an LA Sparks player, about what it takes to get girls to be motivated to participate and continue to be involved in sports, about the importance of team sports for all kids, girls in particular. This youth sports task force is underway now with specific concrete recommendations to the department about how to improve our programming. A very important policy in our city, given the dramatic disparity between the number of girls involved in sports and boys, that when a girl wants to participate in a team sport at a Rec and Park center, that she will be able to participate in a team sport at that center. That is not always true now. Girls' teams don't exist in a lot of these centers currently. And Rec and Parks is making the commitment that's going to change. And in addition to that changing, in the event that there aren't enough girls at a park to create the team that would happen, they would turn to other Rec and Park centers in that regional marketing district to create critical mass, enabling that to exist. Next, that informational literature for Rec and Parks would for the first time dramatically highlight the importance and the availability of girls' sports in our city. Next, this lawsuit that precipitated the initial discussion did arise from an allegation of discrimination in the Valley. There was a response from a number of independent leagues in the Valley which have specific permits to operate at city facilities, that instead of having a head-to-head competition for those scarce sites, there ought to be an expansion of opportunities because the allegation was the Valley sites were not fully used, and if they could be expanded, the use of those sites expanded, there would be no conflict. Rec and Parks did a survey. They found out that in fact at least 20% of the Valley sites could accommodate much more substantial use. And there is some potential for getting collaboration instead of competition here. That is just the first step, though, colleagues, because the fact is that in many parts of our city, there is inadequate sports field availability and inadequate sports programming. And the survey that was undertaken in the Valley with a plan to arise on how to better use those facilities has to be replicated throughout the city. It's a first step to focus on the Valley because, frankly, that's where the lawsuit emanated from. But it has to be a citywide effort. Otherwise, we'll be undoing important work in every neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. And finally, along those lines, there's a creation of a new team comprised of the city attorney's office, independent league representatives, girls' sports representatives, and Rec and Parks to evaluate the current permitting process and see if there is a way to expand the pie to enable all our kids to have good places to play and fully utilize our existing facilities. Lots of good things in what's been moving forward since. Girls deserve an opportunity to participate in our city sports programming to the fullest possible extent. These steps will dramatically expand those opportunities, and I urge us to keep our eye on this issue as it moves forward because collectively we can do a lot better.
Okay. Our machine's a little fouled up, so, but I'll go with Mr. Wax. Mr. Hernandez.
Ask Mr. Fuhrer a few questions. First of all, that's a superb report, Mr. Fuhrer, and the substance of it and the way you've laid it out are excellent. Let me just ask, in your hearings and all, did you find first that the city has really been putting barriers up towards girls' participation, or it's simply been basically a lack of not recognizing the problem and not really taking any affirmative steps?
I think it's been a lack of initiative on the part of the city rather than firm barriers being raised.
And have we worked with the plaintiffs in the lawsuit towards some of these, coming up with some of these programs? And do you think that will help? I don't know if we could talk about the lawsuit in open session, but do you think that will resolve it from their standpoint?
Well, there are two different elements to the lawsuit. That first, there was a facilities issue in the West Valley. There was a concrete offer on the table in which we've been working to create an opportunity that might have that piece of the lawsuit be settled. Then the lawsuit was expanded. Now, the expansion of that lawsuit implicates a lot of these issues, and I think our work in these, I know from hearing in meetings from plaintiffs' lawyers, that what's on the table has meant a lot to them, that these changes have been dramatic and quick, and that they're pleased with them.
It would be somehow, and we may have to have this discussion perhaps at another point, but it's related, it would be helpful as we go along with this if perhaps they could buy off onto this so that we don't have to remain in protracted lawsuits over something that I think all of us are committed to rectifying. And I would trust you very much to sort of lead in that direction to try to bring that to a resolve, if not today, at a later point, once we, in fact, move forward and show our good faith on these.
Thank you, Joel.
You know, members of the council, one, I also want to commend Mr. Fuhrer for the work his committee's been doing in this regard. But I'm still bothered. I'm bothered tremendously because Kathleen Baca, who chose to sue the city as part of that lawsuit, lived in the valley and had the opportunity to compete and find out that the resources weren't available to her that we were making available to other males. And as Mr. Fuhrer talked about the fact that we have more fields in certain parts of the city that are available and in other parts of the city we don't, he's talking about expanding the opportunity for use of those resources in a geographic area. And the reality is we have a limited amount of resources. And even though we have this marketing teams that are going to be working, we still don't have, in essence, what I would call an affirmative action program for kids who live in minority communities, regardless of ethnicity, to be able to participate in athletics if they are a female. And from my perspective, we are making a decision today that is going to allocate resources and allow for those resources to be used in certain geographic areas. And we're not basically voting on a program that is going to allow expansion of use of resources in the inner city, because we don't have resources to expand. I'm asking the question, where's the direction and the instructions, and I'd like to amend the instructions, for the department to report back to us, to the committee, on what kind of programs we can set up that allow women and young women to participate in athletics in our city, regardless of where they live. And I'll give you an example. The LA Kids program that is funded through the block grant is taking kids from the inner city out to the Hanson Dam Basin to play in sports. And maybe we need to expand those kinds of programs to girls' leagues in the inner city, so the opportunity lies that girls from the inner city can participate in softball leagues. Or maybe we have to look at other potential baseball diamonds, for example, the Little League diamonds that we're creating, and how it is that we make them available. Or how is it that we emphasize Prop K and the funding of monies to create facilities for girls to participate. I'm just asking, where's that as part of this report?
Okay. Mike, if I might on balance of your time. First of all, Mike, as you heard from my presentation, maybe your staff knows from my conducting of these hearings, there's a lot of merit in what you just said, and I agree with most of what was said. I want to call to your attention that almost every one of the 10 specific instructions in the 6-page report from the committee are citywide, almost every one of them, because in fact, your point is absolutely right on. There is one aspect of this that is related to the lawsuit and the permitting process that required that there be a survey done first, not only first, of the Valley sports facilities about which the competition related to the lawsuit arose. But as I said orally and as is stated clearly in the report, that's got to be the first step. And I can talk more on my time later on about it, Mike.
Mrs. Chick, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I make my specific remarks, I want to throw out a suggestion, and not yet in the form of a motion, and that is that perhaps, as the discussion will or will not show, this is something that could and should be postponed until at least Friday. I am a little unhappy that I just got the report today. Certainly not unhappy with my colleague, who I think has put a lot of time and energy and talent into some very good and thoughtful suggestions, but to make sure perhaps that these suggestions fit with some overall needs and goals that are also on the table as expressed by Mr. Hernandez. One of the things I would be interested in hearing from staff is, in taking a look thus far, it seems that we have found not that we haven't been open to girls participating, but that we have found that there is more that we can do. And I believe if there's more that we can do, then we should do it. But we also have to balance that with all of the should-dos that we know exist, particularly in this focus with recreation and parks. And I guess one question I would like to have discussed and addressed is, what else can we be doing better and should we be doing vis-a-vis including more youth, period, in our city? I certainly am interested in this issue of girls being invited in and given full opportunity and are doing better. I've had not only personal experiences, but experiences with my two daughters in rec and park softball teams. And I know there's room for improvement. But the final comment I wanted to make also is, as we look at this, let's remember that both with the police department, the fire department, and building and safety, which we've never really fully discussed, these are departments that we know need to do more to recruit women. And we have also learned that in order to do that successfully, there has to be resources given. So I want to pay a great deal of attention to not only what we can do better for girls in sports, for all youth sports and recreation, but what are we talking about in dollars and cents, and are there available dollars and cents and the political will to allocate them to do all that needs to be done to promote youth opportunities in sports and recreations, before I would be interested in making any definitive actions and decisions on this particular subject. Thank you.
Mr. Burnson.
Well, you know, this is, and I welcome the report, and I think Mr. Fuhrer has done a yeoman's job on it. I just have a few comments that I think I need to make on the subject. My district is probably very rich in facilities for kids and in baseball and other activities, because we worked very hard on it through the years. We managed to secure a Metropolitan Water District site in Granada Hills, several, I think 2 or 3 other city-owned sites that are being used for Little League, and also we just recently acquired the site for the Northridge Little League, which was originally the community college property, and that's on a 30-year lease now. But all of these facilities offer amenities and availability for girls to participate. And one of the things that we need to do in the future is make sure when we grant the uses of these properties that everybody can equally apply. It should not be just for one group. Now, one of the things that I don't know whether it was covered, I have not had an opportunity to really study the report, but there are areas of the city that do not have the type of facilities that we have in my district, for example. We need to concentrate on trying to make sites like that available. And by the way, most of these sites merely provide the use of the land. Most of the time, the parents do the work. So it's not really a question of the city expending any money. If we can find funds, either through our, through the money that's set aside for recreation facilities when building takes place, we ought to think in terms perhaps of trying to make some land use sites available in the areas that don't have them, like maybe your district, Mr. Hernandez, or some of the other inner-city areas that don't have them. And those Quimby funds should be dedicated to try to deal with a responsible group of parents in the area who are willing to do what parents throughout the city have done, and that is to establish the fields, to build them, to maintenance them. You'd be amazed at what's been done by parents who are involved with their kids in making these facilities available. I think our responsibility should be to try to make locations available. And I hope that, Mr. Fuhrer, that you, I haven't had a chance to really study the report in depth, but that is the thing. There are areas of the city where the facilities are just not available. And it's really not in the best interest of the kids to have to be bused clear across town, whether they're going to be going to school or whether it's going to be for recreational purposes. That's not in their interest. We need to find locations for them, and I would suggest that we put a priority on some of the Quimby funds in the future that take place, that in areas where they are deprived of locations for recreation, that the funds be number one priority be establishment of locations for sports facilities for children. And I think that'll solve a lot of the problems that we now have. You know, I understand they want to come out. I'll be finished in a second. I won't press my button again. I think that'll solve a lot of the problems as far as the areas that feel like they are being deprived because they just don't have the facilities available.
Thank you. Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, members, I concur with Mrs. Chick. I think that you probably ought to look at this on Friday and heed to some of the recommendations being made by some of the members of the council, at least for your reconsideration. I'm just looking at some of the timelines you've established. You're saying in this report that something should be done, shall be done in 30 days for this, and shall be done in 30 days for that. And for example, that you're going to increase the participation 10% after 1 year. That plan should be made available to us on the 27th, and after a minimum of 25% after the second year. And then you go on to say that we should set up certain committees like item 6, 7, 9, 11, 10, and 11. I mean, it's you making the recommendation that the committees ought to be studying and then recommending. No, not, well, I'm just saying what the report ought to be saying, should include. Now, if you just want to go forward with it and put the cart before the horse, be my guest. I have no problem with that, but you still able elected official, reviewed it very carefully, and of course it's not power authorship, it's just making a suggestion. The other thing that's been brought out is the money. We are demanding that the department take certain positive and corrective action. In fact, those actions are defined as goals and objective. That's a strong affirmative action statement. And I'm just glad to see that, at least as it relates to young women participating in sports, that would be so different and say something about affirmative action where you're willing to set goals and objectives. I mean, I wish we could do that in employment sometime, but we don't muscle up to support for that. And in any case, I think that for the most part, it's a good way to go. You come up with some very, very good ideas. I think that the final recommendation should not be to demand or instruct the department or the general manager to do certain things within a certain timeline, especially if you don't give them the money. There's nothing in this report that talk about resources. For example, the fiscal impact statement, none submitted. Neither the city administrative officer nor the chief legislative analyst has completed a financial analysis of this report. And if they're going to be a part of the committee or structure to make up the recommendation, then of course you got to find the money to do the job, or we can't hold the general manager's feet to the fire. And with that, I'm generally supportive of what you're recommending. However, I see nothing wrong with, 15 heads are sometimes just as good as one.
Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, want to congratulate Mr. Fuhrer on the work he's done. I have some questions, however, about it. Number one, the suing parties, as I understand it, don't even live in the city of Los Angeles. They are from out of the city. Is that correct? They live in Ventura County.
No, I think the majority of the suing parties live in the city, but some members of their leagues live in adjoining cities.
Adult person who's in charge of them is not a resident of Los Angeles. Is that correct?
I don't know. I don't know. Most of the girls involved are, but I don't know where that person hails from.
I thought that was answered in another meeting that we had, and it was agreed that they were from Ventura County, not from Los Angeles. No. But be that as it may, in your item number 5 here, you speak to increasing the use of existing fields for youth sports programs in the Valley region as a first step toward increasing such resources citywide. It seems to me the Valley is already rich in park space and in facilities for sports, whereas my district, Mr. Hernandez's district, rank almost at the bottom when it comes to park space. And were it not for Elysian Park being in Mr. Hernandez's area, it would probably rank as low as mine in terms of park space and places for children to have for recreation. So I hope in the effort to incorporate women into sports activities that are conducted on public spaces, that we do not forget a whole bevy of children, both women and men, or both male and female children, who have zero place to go.
Right.
Who just have zero place to go. And if we can scratch a little pocket park, it's something to celebrate in my district. So I think we need to put things in perspective here with respect to that, and talk about trying to get more monies allocated for the purchase of lands to create new park space in the inner city communities.
Chair recognizes Councilman Alatorre.
Mr. President, members, I just wanted to begin by commending Mr. Fuhrer for the work that he has done. While prompted by an unfortunate situation, I think that he was able to look at the totality of the problem, not just from the standpoint of how it impacts people in his district, but how it impacts people in general, girls in general, throughout the city of Los Angeles. And I think he's to be commended for the time and effort that he put into it. See, I come from the school that, as I believe Ms. Walters stated and Mr. Hernandez has stated, I represent probably one of the oldest communities in the city. The parks that I have, the parks that some of the members in the inner city happen to be the oldest parks with this least square footage, and consequently, and because we're part of this metropolitan area, after Proposition 13, we are even more adversely impacted in terms of programmatic money to provide for kids. And I think that parks are for children, not just for boys. It's for children. And historically, whatever programming has usually been geared for boys. And I think that we have seen the tremendous contributions that girls and young women have to make in the athletic arena. And I think that the Parks and Recreation is probably one of the major institutions that can provide services for children, irrespective of gender. And I think that we're headed in the right direction. But I think that what's important, and I mentioned this in committee, what happens in areas that can't expand because they abut residential communities, or there is no place for expansion, even if the monies were available, short of taking property away, residential property away from people. None of us want to do that. So they talked about the fact that they would combine programs. I just think that we have to look at this very seriously, and I think that we have to commit ourselves to providing much needed programming for girls, but also look at it, the programs that are needed for children, period, especially in older parts of the city of Los Angeles. And, you know, parks are, to me, are as important as how many police officers we have out in the street, because it's the only place next to libraries that people have a sanctuary where they can feel safe many times. And the parks have done a good job as far as that's concerned. So I think that it is a very positive step that is being advocated by this measure. I want to commend Mr. Fuhr for the work that he did. And while it may be a no-brainer that everybody should, everybody should acknowledge, fact of the matter is when we think of recreation, we don't think of women. We don't think of girls. And we have to start doing that and program our heads that we have to be providing recreational programs for all children and all senior citizens, regardless. But I think that we have to start concentrating, and I think this is a great first step. I ask for an aye vote.
The chair recognizes Councilwoman Galanter.
I'd like to join the chorus here in supporting the report and supporting the motion that we move forward. But I'd also like to point out that particularly want to concur with Mr. Alatorre's concern about the fact that as we look for more park property in many parts of the city, if we're going to have more park property, we're going to wind up destroying somebody's house. And that's a very serious problem, especially in the same parts of the city that don't have enough park space. We don't have enough housing. We don't have enough affordable housing. So we have to be awfully careful about how we go about doing this. And I think the first issue is to make sure that we are in fact using the spaces we've got as effectively as we can. I also want to mention that it's important that everybody supports programs for children. But there are a lot of people who use the parks, who grow up as children using the parks. They want to continue to use the parks. And frankly, organized sports and organized activities in parks is a lot better way to work off the frustrations of commuting or the frustrations of your job or of not having a job than some other things I can think of. So all I want to say is I think we should, there's plenty of room to provide more for everybody, and I hope that we will soon get to the point of voting on it so we can do it.
Ms. Galanter, for those of us who are here a little bit longer, if anyone wants to know the difficulty, the reality of the dilemma you just raised, you should talk to former Councilmember Bob Farrell, who tried to do something like that and involved taking, I believe, 9 homes from senior citizens and ended up with a citywide pitting of the needs of the young and old. It was a stunning debate that time. It was pretty interesting. Chair recognizes Councilman Fuhr for the second time. Then I have Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Chick, and Mr. Ridley Thomas.
All right. First, Rick, why don't you go to the front here? Yeah. Mr. President? Oh, Mr. President, 2 things. First, I think Mr. Ridley Thomas's button had been pressed. He has not spoken yet. I've spoken once. I would defer to Mr. Ridley Thomas, and then if I could take my time.
Mr. President, members of the council, I simply rise to acknowledge the amount of work, the thoughtfulness with which the work has been done. The committee is to be complimented, those that have been in attendance, particularly its chair. This is a way, from my point of view, we take on an important public policy issue, address it with the kind of care, thoughtfulness that is forward-thinking, that can not only distinguish the kind of work that this body does, but in fact have positive impact in the community. And so I really do think this is important to look at in terms of how something that doesn't reflect favorably on this city and or its people turn it around in such a way that we can celebrate a forward movement. So, Mr. Fuhr, your work, the work of your staff is to be acknowledged, and I want to join those who have done so and to say that those who are a part of the committee, they should attend to the issues that are immediately before us in a way that we can take advantage of good work rather than causing it to appear to be something other than that. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could actually, John, have my time held so Mr. Sessinghaus, who came down from the commission just to this, could speak for a moment or two, and then I'll take my time.
Thank you. I wanted to take an opportunity to tell the council that when this began back in last summer was just about the same time that I became the interim general manager, and I took it as a time in which to demonstrate to our department employees that we are a very vast and diverse department, and that this was an opportunity to create a model using youth sports as the topic, but that it could carry over to anything else that Recreation and Parks does. To take the Recreation and Park districts that we're going to create for marketing, to get out the word about what we do and make sure that that's done on a gender equity type basis and so forth. There's important in youth sports is equally important in arts and crafts and all the other fine things that this department does. So I think this is a methodology and a starting point. I think also that we're fortunate in some ways, and I know that resources are not equally meted out throughout the city, but that we do have much proposition money available over time to create additional opportunities, and we can provide a focus to the council and to the decision-making bodies as to where to go in the future to allocate those resources. We also have the opportunities with the LA Unified School District to partner and other public-private partnerships that we work on to provide these kinds of facilities, as well as the inventory that's been done in the Valley and will be replicated throughout the city of our current facilities that we are somewhat underutilized or have a block of time that we can plug in additional activities. So I'm enthused. I know our staff is enthused to get started on this plan.
John, just real fast to confirm because you know what, I got to say that pretty much everything that my colleagues have said today is right. And the question is how we can move forward on as many fronts as possible, because I think we generally have a consensus that we need to be elevating the importance of girls in our sports programs, that we need to be expanding our youth sports opportunities throughout our city, that we have a serious problem in older inner city areas of Los Angeles in the inability to expand park space because of what already exists there. All these things are true. The recommendations before us are don't cost money. That is not already being allocated to the department, and indeed they're underway. The issues about which of these are hold on for 1 second, friends. The issues of which of these are citywide, or excuse me, pertain to all youth. Well, the citywide sports supervisor, the sports stars for all kids. The regional marketing districts are for all kids. The youth sports task force for all kids. Good, important steps in the right direction. In the inner city itself, and indeed throughout the city, my district, I think, has the 4th lowest amount of park space of any district in the city. In all districts, we have this issue, but we have been taking some interesting steps. You know, the council collectively is looking at joint use agreements. We have now a joint use agreement with the school district to enable local schools to become parks as we green them in areas throughout our city, not only during school hours, but after school hours and on weekends. There are steps like that that are necessary to take because of the inadequacy of good planning decades ago, that have created the disparities that are legitimately called to our attention today. But having said this, what's on the table is in motion. It is the beginning. It is not the end. A full court press on assuring that all kids, particularly kids in areas without park space, has to happen in this city. As is called out in the report, what is before us is merely the beginning, a first step. I would urge that we take these initial steps, recognizing that they don't require us to make hard financial decisions today. They require us simply to support the efforts that are underway. And as issues with monetary consequences come before us. The important questions that my colleagues have raised today about where we're going to elevate sports, where we're going to create new opportunities, where fields will be, how we're going to complement the work of Prop K, which will give more space to kids in areas that are needed. Those issues should come up in turn, but let's move forward on these today as a beginning, not as an end.
Mr. President, members of the council, one, I don't want to take away anything of the work that Mr. Fuhr has done. And I want Mr. Fuhr to know that I consider him a strong advocate for the children of the city of Los Angeles, and I honestly believe he's an advocate for all the children of the city. What's real bothersome to me is that I've been in this council now going on 8 years, and I've been advocating for parks. And what I've been fighting is a mentality that has consistently said we do everything for all kids in a system that has been prioritizing certain areas over others. You see, when Mr. Bernsen talked about Quimby funds, he said it knowing that Quimby funds can only be used within a 2.5-mile radius of where housing is being built. And we have been trying to tackle that issue from the very beginning, and to this date, I haven't been able to use any Quimby funds from housing that is built out in the valley in the inner city, because there are law impediments for that to happen. The mindset I am fighting is a mindset that says we, the Department of Recs and Parks, okay, work where we have those resources. Now, I am trying to get the Department of Recs and Parks to work more on inner city youth centers with LAPD, because we deal with the issue of crime, we deal with the issue of that. And I'll use MacArthur Park as an example. Right now, we're trying to create some athletic fields. And it also has to be used for seniors. But the Department of Recreation and Parks should be very aggressive if they had the mindset to set up MOUs with LA Unified School District to allow for their facilities to be used more so in the inner city where they need those resources. And I don't see that mindset. You see, every time we talk about youth, and I'll give you another example, I have been talking to Mr. Bernsen about 17 acres of land at Taylor Yard that MTA controls. Why? Because I want to use that for park space, for athletic fields that would go hand in hand with Cypress Park. So what I'm trying to explain is we have to have a mindset that changes, that says, yes, we have areas that have an overabundance of resources and areas that have an underabundance, but we have to focus in the areas that have an underabundance. And every time we say citywide and all kids, let's understand that what ends up happening is that gap continues to increase. And what I did not see in this report is any kind of emphasis on closing that gap. And that's what I was looking for. That's what I'm looking for. So as long as we say for everybody, the reality is the gap's getting bigger. And that's what my frustration is. Now I have 2.5 years left, and then I'm termed out. I want you to get reelected, and I want you to continue advocating for that. But I wanted to take opportunity to right now point out that there's a mindset that has to change. And it has to change, and the opportunities are there with MOUs. The opportunities are there whenever we have any available land. And we have to have a mindset that says we're going to put an emphasis on doing that. And that's why I wanted to bring up the question.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Chick.
Yes. Briefly, on item 5, colleagues, it seems to me that with a slight change, we are perhaps then very much moving in the direction that has been expressed today by many. And that would be to delete the words "in the Valley region" and to say citywide. That's the item that instructs the Department of Recreation and Parks to report back to committee within 30 days with recommendations for a 5-year plan to add new sports fields and to increase the use of existing fields for youth sports programs citywide. And I would even suggest that the emphasis be in prioritizing that look at the parts of the city that the department is keenly aware is under served by recreation programs. That still allows the department to look at the Valley region, as it should and needs to, but we are all saying that this is a citywide problem. It's a citywide problem attracting more girls and women. It's a citywide problem serving adequately all of the youth that need to be served. We should have, in this city, if we want to be a first-class, world-class city, after-school programs at every single one of our elementary and middle schools. We should have parks and recreation programs in every one of our neighborhoods. So, and we know we have a long ways to go. But I don't think that that changes substantively at all what the directions are, but gives the citywide view and also slightly changes the emphasis to focus on areas that are now underserved both in programs and in facilities. I am keenly aware, as Mr. Hernandez is, of the clock ticking, and I think those of us that know the last day that we have on the City Council are exceedingly impatient to move forward on these kinds of things. So I would offer that as amendment and ask for a second. And with that, I would, move to support that this go forward today.
And Chair recognizes Councilman Bernson.
Members of the council, I heard what you said, and we're moving in the same direction except for one thing. The Quimby Law was specifically intended to provide recreational facilities where growth was taking place, and that should not be overlooked and shifted completely. There is development in your district. There is development that also provides for Quimby funds in areas like downtown. What is needed is a amendment to the Quimby Law which will allow for a priority of funds in areas that do not have sufficient recreational facilities for youth to be used as top priority and enlarge the circumference of the area. 2.5 miles, I guess, in each direction, that maybe should be 3 or 4 or maybe 5 miles, whatever the case may be. But that's what's needed. You're not going to be able to take, and nor should we take, for example, if a development takes place in my district, even though we have a large number of parks, it's intended to have, and that's why they put the limitation of the distance, so that each area would have adequate parks in the area. Unfortunately, the Quimby Law took place after large portions of the city were already developed. But we do have development that still takes place. Every time an improvement permit is issued, there's a change of use where they're actually doing construction. There's a Quimby fund that's, and perhaps the Quimby should be extended to commercial. I believe it only now extends to residential. So perhaps the amendment that would extend to Quimby on commercial would also provide funding for specific areas where there is a lack of facilities. But I'm not just willing to provide for the funds just to be given. I think there has to be a partnership with the private sector. And that should be a requirement, and that should be written into the Quimby amendments. And I think if you and I want to talk, and I think Mrs. Chick has expressed an interest, and of course Mr. Fuhrer, we ought to draft some language that we can sponsor legislation in Sacramento to get the Quimby Law amended to do the things we want to do.
Chair recognizes Councilman Fuhrer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Of course, I welcome the amendment. I want to, however, explain that I think it needs to be changed a little bit just from a practical standpoint. The reason that item 5 refers to the Valley region, recall from my initial discussion on this, was that because of the lawsuit, the initial inventory that related to the whole permitting process was done in the Valley. The first one was done there because the lawsuit was there. In order to do a citywide program, which we have to do, of course, and that's what the number 5 states is the first step, we have to have a citywide inventory of how fully utilized our parks are. Is that correct, Mr. Sessinghaus?
That's correct.
So what needs to happen, I think, first is that there needs to be 30 days additionally given to the department to conduct that inventory, which was going to happen next anyway, so it's a good thing to do as part of this now. and then add to that, once that inventory is done, then the more comprehensive discussion be had in the committee and then the full council as to how to expand our existing resources. So both as an explanation and as a minor change to the amendment, that's what I'd recommend first, so we can be sure we have the information on the table in order to then have the discussion as to how we should be expanding our resources. So with that minor change, the amendment is friendly, it's fine, we're all on the same page, and I move this, we do this now.
All right, Chair recognizes Councilman Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, I'm pleased that the amendments are being adopted so that we can move forward, as I think is appropriate. I simply want to suggest that when we make reference to the private sector participating and making these things happen in communities throughout the city, I think that should not be limited to for-profit entities pursuant to Quimby, but in fact, it would seem to me to be very important to take advantage of existing resources, namely YMCAs, YWCAs, and cause that network of providers, if you will, to complement what is going on in the recreation and parks facilities citywide. So Mr. Fuhrer, at the time deemed appropriate, it would be my view that perhaps staff should report back to committee with some indication of an assessment of what the collaboration is, so that you heighten and or deepen the sense in which we move forward on co-ed sports and a range of activities that are not limited to recreation and parks facility, but are in fact happening already in other parts of the community. I will not burden, if you will, the motion with that particular point. I simply want to raise it because it strikes me as something that is fundamentally important, and I would trust that you would, in the appropriate time, take that up and see what fruit it might bear. Mr. President, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. There being no further requests to speak, we'll open the roll, and Mr. Fuhrer is accepting Ms. Chick's amendment as part of the overall motion, so we'll just need to vote one time on the item. Open the roll, close the roll.
11 ayes.
That matter is approved as amended. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there was an amending motion by Mr. Hernandez on the table. I did not hear a second.
I think we're okay. Next order, Mr. Clerk. Next order.
Item number 30 on the continued agenda.
Mr. Hernandez, did you call 30 special?
Yes, I did.
Chair recognizes Councilman Hernandez.
And you know, members of the council, this is not a hard issue, and I'd like to be able to resolve it today. We're talking about the LA Bridges program, which from my perspective is something we need to continue to support, and it's working in a very positive way. And what's happening is part of the funding of the LA Bridges program comes from the Criminal Justice Block Grant. That's been our agreement, and those monies have not arrived yet. Now, traditionally, LA Bridges has been funded through the general fund. And where I was confused here is there was a motion that was introduced, Rule 16, that basically was asking that UDAG monies, block grant, previously allocated block grant monies, be used to front load the financing of the LA Bridges programs in the city. Now that was happening at a time when we are currently considering the entire block grant allocation for next year, and we've requested that the department report to us as to how much is available so that we could look at those funds for economic development purposes and not necessarily impact our human delivery service. And so I thought that the timing was not appropriate for us to be considering using UDAG monies for this purpose. And so what I wanted to do was to amend the report to allow for the general fund to front load the $1 million deficit for purposes of LA Bridges, knowing that it's going to be reimbursed by the Justice Department's block grant money. That's what the motion calls for, and that's what my amendment is at this time.
All right. Is there any discussion, members of council? If not, open the roll on the item as amended.
Yeah.
Close the roll.
11 ayes.
That's approved as amended. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Closed session item?
No, I think we have public hearing, I think, on items
Now
not
it's
on
time
the
for public
agenda.
hearing. Things are not on the council agenda.
Yeah, let's do those before we go into executive session so the people won't have to wait. D. Leaning. followed by Leonard Rose.
Yes, good morning. First of all, put the lens on the doctor on the council, please. It's not there, huh? Okay, last month my employment necessitated my leaving chambers before public comment, and I could not end 1988 upbeat. I shall now begin 1999 upbeat by, to the viewing audience and all in chambers, I belatedly want to wish a blessed and happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, a blessed Ramadan, a healthy and happy New Year. And today we have Armenian Christmas. Come next Friday, January the 15th, happy Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Thank you.
And a Happy New Year to you.
Sorry UCLA lost on New Year's Day.
I am too. Leonard Rose.
Although, as we all know, I went to Harvard.
Hi, my name is Leonard Rose. I came from La Plata city, La Plata, and I wanted to make a couple of speech. I went 3 weeks ago. I came and dropped off all the letter to every councilman in the secretary office, and tried to make this nation more better, more easier for everybody in California and around the world, and have more jobs and substitute workers, you know, and work community and churches, you know, and there's some things I'd like to tell you about very important. I underline to save someone's life in danger. And DMV, that people must obey DMV, and there are too many jaywalking, and people break the law on speeding on the streets and highways, and people drinking and drinking on a work job and bars, and people getting away from that. And we need to get some kind of roadblocks, you know, to check people driving if they're in influence, and there's so many dangers on the road, and obey emergency like fire truck, ambulance, that they must pull to the right. Some have tried to get in the way and hinder them, and too many loud music going on with kids that are playing loud music, driving fast, you know, on a school zone and highways. And I'd like to make a campaign of a guide to traffic safety for bicycle, walking, riding in the car, buses, train, skateboard. But skateboard, they must have a helmets on, and most of the kids that don't have a helmet on, and pedestrian laws and car laws and bike laws save life by educate children and people. And I'd like to give this letter to one of the leader here, if I could hand
All
it
right, the sergeant will take it, and then
All
we
right.
can distribute copies to all the council members.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for.
I got Drive Safely and a wonderful T-shirt I'm wearing too.
Thank you very much, and please come back whenever you wish. Mr. Larry Ross.
My name is Larry Ross, and today I am going to begin with the latest sets of abuses subjected to 1998, September 26, sitting at a bus bench in Hollywood, California, at Hollywood Boulevard and Orange. A so-called security personnel, or two personnel, came up from behind me. First, they identified themselves as being police. Then secondly, they turned around and identified themselves as being security guards. But my point is, as I sat on the bench, one of them, the youngest one, came up from behind me, placed his arm around my neck, and began to put a chokehold on me, lifted me up over the bench to the ground in the front of LAPD officers. Then I was handcuffed. subjected to abuse, and I was taken down to the station on Wilcock, had my fingers printed, had fingerprinted done, and finally released. The point was in violation of my constitutional rights. They was told they had no charge. When the so-called security officer gave a charge, he said, you had too many packages or your property was spread on the bench. That's the means to justify his actions. On April the 25, 1998, when they had me improperly and imprisoned at White Memorial Hospital, I was subjected to further abuses where I received an injection in my upper right shoulder, not knowing the reason for it. Told them it was not necessary, but they did not comply with my wishes and forced the injection upon me, not knowing what the consequences of such an injection would result in. On March 26, similar incident took place at White Memorial Hospital. But at that time, I was placed on a mat, on a bed, face downward. And at that time, they shot me in both arms, my right and my left arm. March 9th, while in MDC, locked in a jail cell or module, gas was piped into the ventilation system into the cell where I laid, unable to leave due to the point that they had me on permanent lockdown at that time. 1977, I was approached in Louisiana as I was traveling on a Greyhound bus station by those who identified themselves as being law enforcement. Told I had to leave the bus station and not to come back. September 19th, around about that time, as I was traveling outside of Dallas at the border, so-called border office agent came onto the bus, came to the back of the bus where I was, and began to search my property, not no one else's, but mine's. Then wanted me to get off the bus, but I refused to do so. At the Dallas bus station, I was approached again by a officer, or at least a person in uniform, wanting to see my ticket for being there. 1996, NCCF. 3 times I was attacked there. One resulted in a mild concussion, I believe. I was struck with a blunt object to the left side of my temple. At 2 other times there, I was also attacked. And also at the county jail, city jail, in April of that same year, 96.
Okay.
I was accosted by so-called 5 county sheriff's personnel
Mr. Ross, time
who
is-
maced me,
time is up.
and they cut my clothes from my body so that they could give me county blues.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
1995, as I stood at Overhill and Slauson at the bus stop, I was accosted and attacked, and once again, I received a blow to the back of my head with a blunt object,
Nate,
not
don't
knowing
leave
the
her. We won't
nature
have a quorum.
or the kind of object that it was, but yet I was the victim of that assault.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Time is up.
The time is up. The
I
time's
know-
up to hearing the truth.
But we'll speak. I know you'll be here Friday again.
I've been here since 1997.
I know.
Coming before this council,
Okay.
telling of abuses and violations, and nothing has been done.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Why is that?
Okay, thank you. Next, Mr. Clerk.
Motions for posting and referral.
Larry. Okay. No, wait. All right. Okay, Larry, I'll let you speak though longer than I'll let you speak longer than the others, and we'll have another hearing. We'll have another hearing again at the next meeting. Okay. Okay. All right. They have all your information. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Motions for posting and referral.
All right. Those will be posted and referred.
Item number 28, closed session.
All
item.
right. Would the sergeants prepare the room for executive session on item 28? Mr. Holden will be right back, he said.
Mr. I have a motion on the item.
All right, Mr. Altori.
It's been amended so that it includes on the training, that it be specific to the media relations section of the Los Angeles Police Department. Okay.
All right, Mr. Clerk, what is the motion before us?
The motion is to authorize the city attorney to expend $1,100,000 in settlement of the above entitled matters. Authorize the city attorney to draw a demand and instruct the Los Angeles Police Department to provide formal ongoing training by an expert from the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office or elsewhere to all authorized LAPD spokespeople, media relations personnel on the law of defamation and how to best minimize the city's liability for written or oral statements made by department personnel.
Okay. Open the roll on the motion, including the amendment. Close the roll.
9 ayes, 1 no.
That's approved. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
The desk is clear.
All right, are there adjourning motions, members of council? If not, the council's going to be adjourned. Yeah.